Guys, welcome to the third episode of the No Limits podcast. My name is Leo Al-Halabi. I'll be your host. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I've got co-hosts. This isn't an interview where we're having a chat.
We're in interrogation.
We're all together. To my right, we've got Aaron Gravias, the man behind so many of the most incredible clubs and nights that I actually have been to, and I've been
my number
around.
one customer for sure.
Yeah,
you're 100% the number one customer.
And it's odd when we're so businessy, but when it comes to Friday and Saturday nights, you've got to let loose. And some of those nights include Cupid, Love Saturdays, Fashion Fridays, the ones that people of our demographic go to.
100%.
Yeah, and I've always been so curious about the nightlife, you know, going to clubs and stuff, being young. Always been so curious on what happens on the back end and how things work. And so getting to meet you and know how that works has been super exciting. And to the left of me...
Hello.
I don't think he actually needs an introduction. The champion himself, Christian Gravias. A real estate agent, not just that, an entrepreneur, so forward thinking, social media focused, superstar, is doing things in the real estate game right now in Melbourne, at least, that I've seen no other real estate agent do. And I know that what you're doing is actually producing great results because I get to see what happens on the back end, thankfully as well, which is, you know, so amazing.
The man behind the big Google, all the Google results.
It's all Leo. Come on, Leo. Keep feeding those leads through, brother. We're going hard.
No. You guys so far you guys are killing it more than what we've been able to, but we've been doing okay. So I just want to touch on something. So you guys the Northcote agency was doing really well.
Yes.
You've expanded to Ivanhoe.
Yes.
Ivanhoe's now killing it.
Yes.
And now you're in talks for opening up more office spaces, which is insane because this is where things begin to get crazy, and you're going to start seeing a Collings real estate office almost everywhere in Melbourne, which is I guess where we're kind of going to, right?
We're getting there. It's an interesting situation at the moment where things are moving pretty quick. And it's sometimes you just, I'm just trying to hold it all together, but it's all going well. I can't complain.
I can't wait to kind of get into everything. I really can't.
A lot to talk about for sure.
Yeah, definitely is a lot to talk about.
I'm actually really excited for this.
Yeah, we're just going to
it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, a long time coming. So essentially what I kind of want to touch on, there's probably heaps of areas that we want to get through. I really want to get personal.
Yeah.
I want anyone who's watching this to really get to know you boys and even myself a lot more as well. So we're going to touch on topics you probably haven't spoken on before. Are you ready for that?
Let's go.
Yeah, you ready for
100%,
that? Yeah. Okay. And also want to talk about how we've dealt with things for the past 4 or 5 years. I think I really have always made an effort, and I know you have too, to try and avoid going down the path of like making it and then going, when I went through this and I went through that, and not have actually shown it in real time. And I know that you're big on actually showing it in real time. I'm having a bad day today. I've had a bad week. And I think it's really important because people will maybe sometimes look at those who are pushing social media and think that we've got it all figured out. But we don't. So let's. I want to address something. Okay.
Yeah. Hit me.
So as we've kind of let's actually go back to how we met. Okay. Right. I'd love to do that. But the first question I want to ask, kind of both of you, or at least you with the real estate, is when did things start to when did things change? Because I know that you didn't hit the ground running. It took quite some time. When did things turn around and just start to get crazy?
Okay, so we started when I was 19. I'd say 22 and a half. I felt like it took 3 years of a lot of, it didn't feel like a lot of progress at the time, but
that's us, Aaron.
No, I think the problem is for us when we started, or when Christian started with the old man, it's, we were our own company with no systems, no processes, no procedures, no nothing. So when you start from nothing, you've never worked in the industry, it's not always the easiest of tasks to get the ground running straight away. So you sort of kind of got to work it out as you go.
I think even backstory to all of that was, how it really started was I was working at a deli, just pretty great
It's
story.
the funniest story.
It's a great story. So we'll finish school, got a 28 enter score and applied for.
Is that exclusive? Have you shared that before?
Yeah, no,
ladies and gentlemen.
I lied for years. Told everyone I got like a 74.
Two things.
I don't care anymore.
He's swapped the numbers around.
I'm a failure, Dad.
Hold on. Two things right now, okay? We've established two things. Number one, Christian Gravias got a 28, right?
Lied for years.
Number
74.
Number two. He's old enough. He's so old. He still calls it an enter score when it's an ATAR.
Okay,
it was so low. I don't think he knew the difference. I don't think he knew what was going on.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who gets a 28 enter score. Yeah, it probably wasn't an ATAR score during your time.
I think it was.
I don't even know, man.
Mate, you're so lost. Oh my god.
I was pretty lost.
I had no idea. Yeah. That's exclusive, right? Right for the No Limits podcast.
It was great. It was great. I thought I had the world.
You could tell he had a line of universities lining up to take him.
It was funny.
He couldn't count the offers, mate. He didn't know which one to pick.
It was hilarious because I remember the day after you got your results, you had to like go sit with the teacher and you put your preferences. And like number one was like valuations and Deacon like 84. And then like I had this whole list and I remember got it back. I think it was 10 or 12. I literally got the last one. Box seal tape, real estate. Third 4. I was like...
So the deli story. Yeah.
Anyway, so I got a job. Dad hated me for months. Like I thought I was gonna get like disowned. So anyway, I started working. After 2 weeks, I was fairly fresh, and it was 7 o'clock, and the deli closed at 9, and someone, because I was a trainer, someone was supposed to stay back with me. This guy, it was my first like little taste of the real world. As soon as it hit 7 o'clock, the guy's packed his bags, he's out. I'm like, yeah, but what do I do? And he's like, just shut the deli down. I was like, okay. So imagine just a supermarket and like the lights just go off. Everyone's just looking at me like, what's going on? I ended up getting sacked the next day for it. I was like, I don't know how this is my... Well, I got caught eating salami like 20 minutes. 20 minutes after. So the manager that was already hounding me wasn't liking me anymore after that. And then, the next day or like a week later... My dad had obviously been in the real estate game for about 20, 30 years, whatever it was. And
big props to your dad. Your dad's done really well for himself. Yeah.
And, he'd been retired for how long? Probably 5 years, 7 years?
Semi-retired for about that time.
Yeah, so he wasn't doing anything. And he's like, let's do this again. So we jumped in and I was obviously expecting him to, obviously know...
Take the front line.
Take the front line and know everything that's going on. But a massive change that had happened while he was gone was the newspaper to the internet.
Yeah.
So it was it was definitely an interesting start.
So but for 3 years, like I don't know, you've told me, maybe I'll have to get your perspective on it. What was your perspective on him? Because the thing is, like
the first 3 years,
and the thing that the reason I want to talk about this, just to kind of preface it a little bit, is that a lot of the people who would watch and like are following Christian and follow myself or follow you, would kind of have this false impression that it begins at the top, that you begin at the top, and think that people don't really go from like can't actually turn things around in a massive way. And I know that his story is kind of like that. So 100%. From your perspective, how long was it, and then that turning point?
I think timing rise is why it would have been 21 and a half, 22,
it was 21
and a half, somewhere there.
21 and a half was when I started getting my shit together.
I mean, the problem was that we started when it was started. The business wasn't bought. We didn't buy a rent roll. You get out of business straight away. So it was straight away from zero.
Yeah.
Tommy had, I think he brought in probably about 15 rentals. 15 rent,
yeah.
In the first like financial year.
Yeah, that's nowhere near enough to even. Yeah, that's like 2 hours a week.
You guys
so
are at what now? How many rentals now?
We've hit 400.
Yeah, so it's probably
it's been
about
good growth.
410 somewhere there now.
Yeah, it's been
wow.
Yeah, it's been
probably more
growth.
since that post.
And really, it's only that's only happened in how many years?
3 years, pretty much. Yeah.
So it was 3 years of trying to just figure it out, and then 3 years of this is what it is. Let's hit it.
Yeah.
So whilst I wasn't actively involved in the business in the first 3 or 4 years, I kind of got to see the growth from home, what was going on. Christian loved his 12 o'clock coffees down in good old Pantheon on Station Street. You'd catch him there probably at least every day.
Hours
on end. So to Christian, I don't know.
Just talking to the old guys about footy was great.
It was like for him, it was nothing to do. I don't think he was mentally in the state to really understand the position he was actually in. I don't think he saw really the opportunity that was there, and that's my take on it. I
think it was more the fact that I actually didn't like what I was doing.
Okay.
Yeah, like, but yes, another thing was obviously I didn't understand like what I could be doing. Yeah, so it was a mixture of both. Like
you're young too. Like you jumped in at 19 with no prior experience in anything.
But you know what the problem is like when people know you, like I know you, your work ethic is far beyond anyone I've met. And I've met a lot, for my book, I got to interview a lot of really successful entrepreneurs, and your work ethic and obsession even supersedes them. So my question is, how can someone go from being kind of like lazy or unmotivated to a level of obsession which you're at right now? Something major must have happened.
It was weird.
I always try to pinpoint what it was.
You think there's a story.
Yeah, I really can't. And it's something where I'd love to, because now every time we hire people when I've got my staff, like I'm all about trying to make them leaders. And I always try to think about myself, like what was it that completely just turned something so I could kind of replicate that to somebody else, if that makes sense. I can't. Like it's just something that overnight, it's like I just woke up and I was like, okay, I like this. And I don't know, I really can't think that over time I was just going into it. Maybe I can probably think of one point. I was in the office with Nicole, and it's funny.
Nicole's your girlfriend.
Yeah. Yes.
Quick shout out to Nicole.
Yeah. I think she kind of used to always like, well, growing up, get a real job, like for the first couple of years. And maybe like I do remember one time when I felt really good, where I keep a spreadsheet of like all my results of what I'm doing. And at first year where things really started turning, I picked up 80 managements for the financial year. And I showed Nicole. She was just in the office, like, we're spending a night. I was doing some work.
Turns me on when you work so hard. My man's out there. He's like, there's like that hunter's mentality. He's hunted. He's brought back some prey. Right? That's in it's in the biology and psychology. Right?
I don't know what it was. Like, she just like turned around. She's like, wow. She's like, you're actually doing really good. And I was like, I am doing good.
Yeah. And then that was it.
I don't know. It's weird.
Gary Vee says he says I can say the same thing 25 times over, and like on the 28th time, something would just. I've said it at the same time. I've said the same thing for the last 3 years, but 3 years later, like something's just going to click at that instant, and it's just going to go from there. I feel like that's kind of something like that happened with you. There was no big dramatic incident or anything like that. It was just a mentality shift within a short period of time that changed everything.
Talking about Gary Vee, when I was actually, I never really.
Shouts out to Gary Vee.
Oh,
he's going to be on the next episode.
Yeah, you reckon? Flying him down, huh?
Okay,
We got him.
150 US.
I'm going to say that again, and you guys can't laugh.
Yeah,
I stole that from the Bobby Lee. Yeah.
No, I think even when I was introduced to him, I never really watched anybody. And my good mate kind of said, like, get onto him, and never really watched anybody. And I think now that maybe he played a big part, that I just became super obsessed with obviously what he was about and his story and work ethic and everything that could have played a shift as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
That's a shit, because the thing is, shout out to Gary Vee. So for me, I can actually identify the moments. Like that's what's so different, and I guess it's a good thing to know that there is like a contrast. You know what I mean? That not every person who's on the path to try and make it, because let's be real here, we are on the path, right? I feel far from made it personally for me. And
it's like what we've speak about all the time.
Like,
we're 1%.
and it's honestly like people don't understand that all we're doing is just showing what we're doing, but we're probably doing the same or maybe a little bit more than everyone else. It's just we're just showing it.
We're just showing
it. Doesn't make us any more successful. It doesn't mean we have
100%.
any more money than anyone else.
Just documenting.
But we're just documenting, right?
Yeah, I was even laughing.
And one day it's going to happen. One day it's going to happen. What were you laughing at?
Now, on your story, I think yesterday or the day before, someone's like, "What's it like that you've made it?" And you're like,
Yes.
"I haven't made it."
I haven't. What? And you know what?
Yeah.
And
I was looking at it, I'm like, "We haven't made it."
You know, the crazy thing is, it's like I try my best to make such an effort. Like if you look at my profile, no cars, no money, nothing. Like I try to stay away from that, but still. You know, to the majority of the audience, if they see someone putting that kind of, there's like an
I think that's
assumption.
up to discretion as well. I mean, what is your definition of made it? Some people may look at
Money
your
as
current
well.
state, your current business size, and say that's it. I'm done. Like I made it. Like
yeah.
you know, your business may have.
For me,
you know
it
what I'm trying
would
to
be
say.
like,
It really depends on
Okay.
who you are as a person
Yeah.
too. Like
Good point.
people look at that and just like he's
That's
made
a
it.
good
Like
point,
if
yeah.
I had that, like I've made it. You know, and you might think, well, I'm making $4 and I've reached 30 people, and I want to make $55 and reach 35,000 people, and I'm not going to stop till I get there.
Yeah.
So
fair
you
point.
know that's up to interpretation
Perception is
too.
reality, though. I think a lot of it plays a role, but
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But and then it's also
we
our
must be
responsibility.
millionaires. We're speaking in front of a camera.
Yeah, that's it. That's the assumption. So I think like,
to hit $1 billion.
I think that's but it is our responsibility though
Yeah.
to
Put a disclaimer in there.
put a disclaimer and just be like to guys, like to everyone, like just don't think like you're not in the same position that we're in.
100%.
So we're just documenting like
Aaron
we're
adds a
all the
Rolex,
same. Huh? Oh,
What a jab.
I mean,
Moving on.
I'm pretty sure you're gonna have to show it now. No, I won't do that to you. I won't do that to you. Oh, that is actually
Nah, it's
so
fake
funny.
from Thailand.
No, it's not.
It was from Bali, actually.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. All right. So a couple of things. So back when I was, I think the turning point for me, right, was I had a lot of turning points where things started to get like I identified like just. You know, things went crazy, and a lot of people who are coming and watch this from my channel would know that I've got a countdown until 25. And I'm
Yes.
23 right now.
Yes.
So I set a goal when I was 17, and I said by 25, this is what I'm going
It
to
still
have.
blows my mind.
Yeah,
Like
and-
you've been counting every
Every day.
single day.
Every
That blows
day.
my-
Every
I wish
day.
I was counting down from 17.
Yeah.
Probably would have reached the goal by 25.
Yeah. You called me. You called me like, what day is it? And I was like, stay whatever.
I was just
Yeah.
testing myself. What day are we at? He's like 4:32. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
No. We're
I know,
like
you're in the 500s or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're still,
But
we're still
it's
from,
just-
what were we going to say?
Yeah, no, it's just your that mindset, and that you've got that goal, and you're just like, whatever it takes.
Yeah, can
and,
I actually ask-
like that consistency is like what it's what's
Yeah.
going to get you there. Like
Yeah.
People and going back to like everyone thinks there's some big formula secret on people probably googling what is the secret to become rich. Like that thing of like consistency is just so important, and
It
I
is.
see that in you. Like your mentality and your consistency is like out of this world. Like it's at a level you rarely see that in a person. Like, that blows my mind. That everyday thing. You've got a clock, don't you?
Yeah, I ended up just recently. I bought it was really hard. Not a lot of people sell it. I bought a countdown clock that counts down the days.
Yeah.
And I've got it in my office now.
Wow.
So,
That's crazy.
yeah.
But like, I just want to ask a question. Like, what was it that at 17 somehow that you had this thing in your mind that you just knew at 25 this is what you want to achieve? Because
a
I
young
think of
age
like
too, yeah.
myself at 17. I had my feet up.
That was a rough situation.
Yeah.
Like literally laptop on one leg, the FIFA controller literally playing one
I
hand.
thought you were going to say something else, bro.
I wasn't sure it was coming.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. Just thinking about it. Yeah. But yeah, like even just at school, like doing nothing, had no, like it's a really scary thought that even probably at 17, I remember like looking at my dad and saying like, I don't care about anything. I just want like Richmond to win a premiership. And like, I still remember that moment. I looked at my dad. And I think if I was my dad, I probably would have slapped him.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
like, what was it for you?
Okay, so for me, so growing up, I had like the most amazing parents, which I know that your parents are amazing as well. So we can relate on that. So I was quite motivated to do well by them. When we were around 10, when I was 10 years old, we sold everything here. My family did, and then we moved to Syria. When we came back with nothing.
Yeah.
And it was a massive, massive struggle. So when they came back, they didn't come back because things were going so well in Syria, is because things didn't go as well.
Yeah.
And so they came back and my parents had, it wasn't just like a financial issue, it was that. And on top of that, it was a marriage issue. And there was like so many layers, right? So it took them a fair amount of years to actually just rebuild their relationship, and then by that time where it had kind of rebuilt and things started to get better, was when I became old enough to understand, like, it really sucks that we don't have much money. It really sucks that we can't go on a holiday. It really sucks that we can't go, like, I can't get a nice car. All these things, I just was like, it really fucking sucks. Like, it sucks. I don't want to experience this. I just don't want to experience this anymore. And so I think there was this one particular day or this week where it went by and there was just these issues of like the finances. It was just, I just had enough. And I was like, well, I can't do much for my parents right now other than just give them hope or give them, just buy time, because the pace it was going, if I didn't buy time, and this is like real being really honest, if I didn't give them that hope, or if I didn't buy time, God knows what would have happened, if they would have still been together, or if they would be even happy. Like, I don't even know, right? So I just wanted to like give them the hope and buy time, and for them to just go, okay, in the next 8 years, all we have to do is just kind of sit back, and 8 years, our son's going to make it happen. And that's where my motivation comes from. So there's a quote that says people either do something or take massive action out of inspiration or desperation. I've always been on the back foot, back against the wall, can't fall back on anything.
Nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. Yeah. I've got to go all in. I've got to be super, super desperate. Literally, man. So I did it just to kind of buy time. So I said, guys, this is what's going to happen by 25. Give me just that time. Hang in there. Let's find a way. Like, and I'm going to do this. And I laid out the lifestyle, what I was going to do, everything. At the time, I had no idea how I was going to do it, but my goal never changed. I became incredibly clear with what it is that I wanted. So I watched Tony Robbins. I watch a lot of his content, and Tony Robbins would say, make sure that your clarity is just insane. Just become very clear. So he's got a joke where he goes, someone told me, they stood up at one of my seminars and said, I want more money. So I gave him $1 and told him to sit down. Because more money you can't quantify that. More money is 1 more dollar.
Yeah.
So I remember I sat down and I wrote down in detail. I'm like, okay, so if I do this for if I retire my parents, how much do I want to give them a year?
Figures and everything?
Everything.
Okay.
To the dollar.
Yep.
If I retire my parents, how much do I want to give them a year, like a wage or something? If I buy a house, what would I probably possibly be paying on the mortgage? I'd go out, I'd figure out what kind of house I wanted, how much it would probably cost, the area. This was like 8 years ago, so the price is
I was thinking that. I'm like, bloody, we're going to revise those figures over here.
Did we equate for 100% increase?
Yeah, exactly right. So I went onto the loan calculator. I would calculate like if I had a deposit and then how much my monthly repayments would have to be. Then I was like, okay, what car do I want to drive? At the time, it was an R8. I'm not interested in supercars anymore, other than like an M4. I would love like an M4, and I think I'd be happy with that for a very long time. But at the time, it was like an R8, Ferrari, all this sort of stuff. I've gone so over that. So at the time, I was like, okay, well, if I was to get like an R8 and I was to pay for it on a monthly basis, what would it cost? If I was to go on holidays, how much do I expect to spend to send my family overseas, and for us to go on holidays on a yearly basis? And then it was just like if I was to buy my parents a car, and then if I was to also do a charity, and then I would calculate how much I would have to actually be spending on a yearly basis. And then I'm like, all right, now what I have to make, not to break even, but to do that and at least have like $1 million on top of it that I can just store away somewhere or whatever, right?
I like it.
And
good
then
size.
I became not bad, it's good size. And then I became super clear. And then also to the T where I was like, okay, well, and I understood this after I actually got into business, which was, I thought like I had to make X amount. Then I realized, well, I didn't consider tax. And if you're making a lot of money,
there's always something that doesn't get considered.
So I'm like, all right, I have to make more than what I thought. Then as I got into business and I understood that my sales that I was making on a yearly basis didn't equate to my profits. Right?
100%.
So your profits are a lot less than what because you got expenses and investing or whatever. So I'm like, oh, I don't have to make this much a year. I have to actually make like 10x a year. And now I've got, and then that's happened over time.
That's how we got into Grant Cardone.
Yeah, that's it. The 10x. Yeah, that was a good one. So that's pretty much how and then I established it, and I just been counting down ever since.
I like it.
I use it as a reminder that right now, when I'm working every day counts. I've got to be incredibly productive, and the craziest part about it is that for the majority of those 8 years, so I would say for probably for 6 of those 8 years, if you were to take a look at my financial situation, or 5 of those 8 years, financial situation, how much I was making, how much I would probably be making, you'd be like,
I've witnessed it.
You'd be like, how on earth are you going to pull this off?
Yeah,
it's 100%. Ridiculous. And I always knew. I sat with my parents and I said, and this is going to tie back to you guys. Click. I said, it's going to happen. Yeah. We're going to have a month where things just change.
I'm so glad we've been a part of that. Like,
yeah,
I think
and you guys were, and that's why I wanted to kind of. I'm happy to share this because you guys played a part in it. So
not in that sense, in the sense of I think we met.
We met September last year. Yeah,
and like I remember when I first met you, you're still working from home. You just had the tutoring agency. You weren't you were just about to start the digital agency.
I was more focused on my book at the time.
Yeah, 100%. Then we had your book launch.
Oh yeah,
and then
launch, yes.
When you launched that business, seeing it go from 0 to what it is, like in that short amount of time, it's been like unreal. Like, and I've just seen the change. It's been like crazy. And you're so right. It hasn't been an overnight. You know, it's been the business has only been going for 6 months. Like the business has been going for 10 years.
Yeah,
you know? Like that's,
well, that comes back to the bamboo analogy, which is you plant a bamboo, the Chinese bamboo, like you plant the seed and you water it for 5 years continuously. It doesn't pierce through the ground. You see no results. The moment it pierces through, it grows to 3 feet, 3 stories high.
Wow!
In the span of 5 weeks.
Wow!
And that's us.
100%.
That's us. It's a big deal.
No way.
It's an overnight thing, right?
I like that.
The thing that and you know what's crazy? I became so clear with how it was going to happen as well, and then you guys actually entered. I remember sitting down so clearly when I was like 19, 20. I told my parents, I'm like, Mum and Dad, that was surprised. I couldn't understand why people weren't giving me a chance. Like, why weren't people giving me a chance? Because I was just like, they don't actually know.
I'm the best.
They know, like, they just don't know what I'm willing to do. Like, give me a chance.
Yeah.
So I sat with them and I said, I'm going to keep on working, and then someone is going to enter my life who's going to see the potential, right? When no one else can see it, and they're going to play a big role in taking me there. Then at September last year, I get a follow by this guy called Aaron Gravias, right? I check on your profile, and then the first thing that appealed to me was you're like founder of like Love, founder of Fashion Feather, and I was like, oh, these are clubs that I go to. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool, right? So then we followed back, and then we started to chat, and then we started to catch up, and we were just going for coffees, and we went for dinner and stuff like that, and then randomly his brother starts to follow me, right?
Yeah, I remember
within the first 2 messages you said to me, you're like, I can't remember what you said.
It was one of your videos. Yeah, it was really, really cool.
You're just like, you're the next guy. I need to have a meeting with you right away. Blah blah blah. Yeah. And I'm like, what does this guy see?
What's going on?
Honestly, man, like at the time, I'd lost a lot of friends because during my book launch, I looked around. I was like, where's the support? I didn't talk to many people at the time. My tutoring agency was struggling. I was like trying to put out a book. No one would publish my books. I had to put up all the money to do it myself. Bro, I had launched my book, and every person I had relied on to kind of like support the book launch didn't, and then all randoms did, and I'm like, why the hell am I getting them? And then I went through that, and it was just a really yucky time.
It was a really good night though. It was a really good night.
It was, and then when we caught up and then we met, I was like, what? And you're like, I need to put you on my story.
Yeah.
Was that night we went for dinner?
That was the night I was supposed to come, but I was busy in the office.
And we walked in.
You guys just walked in, and then I was still in there.
I said to him, I literally said to him, I'm like, I don't remember what it was. I'm like, let's go to the office. I don't know if I want to just see the space or something.
Honestly, the way it worked, it was just meant to happen.
That was crazy.
So we were supposed to meet, right? And by the way, I'm traveling from Dandenong up to Northcote. So that's like a 50-minute drive. Yeah. It's around an hour. So I remember,
and you were burning. I remember you told me you were like, oh, I wasn't sure.
I wasn't sure, man. Because I was like, man, I'll just postpone it. Because
that's how much he likes me. He didn't want to travel for dinner.
Yeah. Come on, man.
No, I remember that. Yeah.
And it was funny because I remember the details of that night so much, because I remember I was talking to, I think I was on the phone to my ex-girlfriend at the time, and I was like, I've got a dinner tonight, but Christian, I was like mentioning it to her, and I was like, but the person had cancelled on me because I
had a meeting.
And I think I was going to maybe make plans to see her. I can't remember what it was, but I mentioned to her and I said, I think I'm going to go anyways. Or she said to me, like, I think you should go. I think she actually said to me, I think you should go anyways. Shout out to her. And she's like, I think you should go anyways. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go. And you know what? Whatever happens, like, I really connected with you. And I'm like, I know it's going to be worth it. Like, if I travel, whatever happens. And I just felt that I had to go. And I went, we finished our dinner, and then you go to me, I need to go get my laptop from
the office, because it was just a walk away, yeah.
And look how crazy this is. I go to you, I wanted to go because I think I had, even like going back, I was planning to make a phone call, right?
Yeah.
Like afterwards, and I had like went over time, and I was like, no, it's all right, I'll come back to the office. Why not? So I walk back to the office, and then I walk in, and I just walk up the stairs, and then I look, and then it's you sitting there.
Yeah.
And Mitch was there as well.
And now that's what I'm going to get to.
Yeah,
Mitch as well.
Crazy.
Right? How this happened. I see you, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, I never met you. We said hello. We started talking.
And this was that was late. Like I don't know what you guys were doing.
No,
It was at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night.
I was still just going crazy like a little psychopath.
Yeah,
I remember just like
it just being insane. You had signed up. I think it was a rental or
no, I sold a property.
Sold
that
a property.
night.
Yeah.
And then
property.
I sold it, and then like I was just sitting there like still just working because I was like, oh, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm so glad you. I'm so glad you did.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that property got sold that night.
I'm so glad you did.
It's crazy. Like even while you're just telling this story, I think it's one little connection that can open a whole new world.
That's all it is.
One Instagram follow.
One connection, one post.
And I wasn't even going to follow you that day, but like you'd popped up on my feed again. I'm like, I know this guy. Like, I've seen him before. I'm like, those videos. I'm like, yeah, this guy's kind of cool. I'm like, I follow him. I like what he's doing.
Man, this is the type of guy I'd knock back at Love Saturdays.
You and the boys right over the door. You were gone.
Like, Aaron.
hey, I still do that to this day, and I'm going to do this right. Aaron,
please. Enter in a drink card.
No, I don't go that far.
He always offers to pay. He's a gentleman.
I don't go that far, but it's nice being able to just not because the thing is like. Have you looked at me and my like that? You know what I mean? Like I have to take out my Instagram videos. And be like, I'm not like, no,
I'm not like all of them.
I'm not a good size, not bad type guy. Yeah, like
I'm not Leah from the area.
And then really we walked in, and the craziest part about it was that I had at the time just launched the digital agency, and you were that when we had a chat, and you're like, man, like how does this stuff work? And I was going through on the whiteboard, remember?
Yes.
And within 5 minutes, you're like, I need you to come in to help us out with our business. And I was like, what the fuck is going on, right? And then Mitch goes, what's happening?
I need a slice of this.
I need someone to help me with this too. And I'm like, and then I walked off. And then I remember leaving, because you guys don't know this, but I remember leaving.
Afterwards?
I went into my car, and then I drove home, and then I jumped on the phone, and I was talking, and I was just like,
what song was playing on the freeway?
I said to her, it's happening. No, there was that. I was on the phone. I was like, I swear it's happening, right? And because I had mentioned it to her, I was like, oh, this is what's gonna happen, blah blah blah. I was always fucking bold and stuff, and I'm like, it's happening. Like, what? I met these boys, and then this is happening, and then shit just from there, things started to get crazy, because when you put me on your story, honestly, till this day, when I go out and like I say a random person will like recognize me and come and say hello, if I ask them, where did you hear about me? 80% of them, 80 to 90% will go, I know the Gravias boys. I saw them on your story or something like that.
I'll take a 20% royalty,
mate.
on all future business.
honestly, whatever. Like I always knew, whatever you asked, like if you were to actually say I want a 20%, whatever it was, I'd be happy to pay, because I know what that meant for me at the time. Because you guys came and supported my. Then. You guys didn't even know me. You didn't,
just went up.
You didn't even know me, and you supported my book launch. That was
we
insane.
all came. The whole office came.
Yeah, it was
the
actually
whole office.
Even I got Bo down as well. Remember the little Bo?
And
Bo Arfie came down.
And at the time, I was so stressed to see if people were going to show up, and it ended up being amazing. But you know, the one thing that made me feel okay?
What?
Every time I'm like, fuck, what if people don't show up? I went, at least I've got 10 boys from the 10 boys from the office coming. I was like, they'll make this look like people showed up.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
And,
all the Instagrams and all that.
No, honestly, it was a great night.
It was. I'm so happy we got to kind of reflect back on that. And something I wanted to touch on is both you and we've both seen how much like social media, and even you put up a story that you guys spent like $200 and you got a sale, right? you got a property sold just from.
That's right. Yeah, sorry, I was what are you talking about?
Cape Street.
Yeah, that was a post on Instagram. So we listed a property in Heidelberg. It was an off-market opportunity. We boosted it on Instagram for like, was it a boost or was it just a generic post?
No, it was a boost.
It was a boost for a couple $100 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got it sold. We actually had a buyer came through, loved what he saw and bought it on and we transacted it. And that sale turned into what's now a rental. And they've got plans to develop and all that kind of stuff, which will further, that's further business in the future, hopefully. And yeah, it's crazy how like that ROI isn't even measurable. Like you can't even measure.
You were going
that.
crazy over it. I remember you.
It's stupid. Like because still to this day, like not even just agents, but I'll use agents as an example. Real estate agents, they're just so blind about the whole thing. Like they're still spending $6,000 in the newspaper for like a full page spread, and I'm just like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah,
it's like, do you know what this can do for you? Like $200 and we sold a property. It's crazy. Like
it's weird that I'll use my office for a sense, or even my Instagram. I've been screaming pretty much,
which is free, by the way.
Yeah,
not even zero ad spend
every week. And Aaron can back me up on this. From early last year to I probably gave up last month. I would scream and just say like, "How are you guys not posting? You get business. This is literally free advertising to build yourself up to get clients." And I was yelling at my staff for that long that I've just given up on it. So how real estate agents and people can't get their head around that billion-dollar companies are built on social media.
100% social media spend. Yeah.
Aaron's
same as all our nights. Like we don't spend $1 anywhere else.
It's all just social media.
People would be surprised to know that. You guys, the success of the nights that you've done, Fashion Friday,
not $1 anywhere else. Advertising wise, we don't spend $1 anywhere. There's some couple. We've attempted rock posters in the past. We spent a couple thousand. You put posters all around Melbourne. Nowhere near as efficient. That Facebook ad spend. We use influencers. You want to call them promoters / influencers, and ad spend to generate the whole thing. Like it's a no-brainer. It doesn't make sense. Like it's
so
crazy.
What I wanted to kind of jump to is that we see the value because we've seen how it's directly put money in our pockets, how it's directly affected our businesses. 100%. But the majority of people, when they see another Leo Halaby sponsored post, when they see a Christian Gravias guy,
fraudster.
Just signed up my 400 rental.
Smileys. Who's this fraudster?
This guy, and
he's full of it.
And I don't think people
sorry, just to interrupt you. I actually sent him a screenshot. Like on that post, there was some guy like, "Get the fuck off my newsfeed." Yeah,
I saw it too. Yeah,
he was just like,
yeah. Aaron's like, "Do you even know it's there?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just could be fucked deleting it."
Don't delete it, bro.
Like that shit's real. Like,
I don't know. I didn't get to put this up. I haven't received hate in a very, very long time, but I put up a sponsored post. So now I'm starting. When you start to, and that's a good thing. When you start to get into people's news feeds who don't know you, that's when you begin to.
Yeah, it actually G's my life.
Yeah, and my video had got around to people I didn't know. So now someone's seeing a video of mine. They don't have the backstory on me or my story of what I've done. It's like, who the fuck is this guy? Preaching. And this guy actually sent me a long DM. Right? And he went in.
Are you
He's
serious?
like, bro, please shut the fuck up. You're acting like you're Gary Vee. You've done nothing with your... I just went in. Right? Long message. And I read it. And I used to cop hate when I was like 18, 19 doing this. So I'm so used to it. It actually made me laugh. Yeah. Because you can begin to look at these people and the messages they send. And you can see the psychology behind it. Like what it takes for a person to actually go out of their way to message.
Mad as fuck.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Like there's something broken, right? Yeah. So I went out. I kind of exited it. I had because it was in my request. I exited it and I just had a laugh. And I'm like, you know what? People will send messages thinking that there's like no consequences. Yeah. So may as well. Why don't I just screenshot it, put up on my story? But I'll keep his name. Like I don't really care. Yeah. Well, if you're gonna go out of your way to message me, cool. May as well just kind of like not to expose him, but just go haha, right? Yeah. And I went back, and this is so I was like on my phone. I had seen the message.
When did this happen?
This was like last week.
No way.
Yeah. I saw the message.
Wait, did you post it?
No, I saw the message come through. I saw the message come through. So I was literally, and then I exited in the space of 5 minutes. I went back to screenshot it, and he
Deleted.
had unsent his message. So I couldn't put it up.
No way.
Yeah. So he went out of his way. He wrote a very long message.
And then he probably would have gone through your profile and realized that, like,
no, I don't think so. I think he was just like,
He would have thought, fuck.
yeah,
I'm
what
a
am I
dickhead.
doing?
Yeah,
and then he just unsent it.
at least he like put his profile. Like, I feel like I've got some guy that just keeps making fake accounts, like commenting on like one after the other. Will keep making accounts. I'll just keep blocking it. And he's like writing on my things, "You're fat," and I'm like, "Come on!" Like, and then I'll just block him, and then like 5 minutes later, he comes back, "You're fat," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" A week later, he comes back, he's like, "You're fat," and I'm like, "Oh,
Jesus Christ.
So I think what people don't understand.
But that's. I think that's something you got to talk about too. Like, that is
I want to talk about it, but what I want to talk about is like, you know, when we put out our videos and we're putting out our content, I want everyone to kind of know and understand. We get it that there is a big majority of you out there that might find some of our content a bit cringy, over the top, or like,
For sure.
why the fuck do you keep popping up on my newsfeed?
Yeah.
We get it.
There's a block button.
We understand it. Yes.
There's definitely- there's a block
we
button.
There's an
understand it.
unfollow."
Number one, we're still figuring it out.
100%.
We're getting better. I'm starting to
100%.
understand a couple things. So
We're actually in a little room with a microphone. Like, I've never done this before.
You know what I mean? Like, we're still figuring it out. We're
100%.
still understanding what works. Like, one of my videos was a cold calling video. I actually called and I
remember
sponsored that.
that.
Insane reaction.
Yep.
People loved it. Not
Which
a single
one?
bit of hate. When I actually did a cold call.
Ah,
for my sister's company.
yes,
And then I sponsored another video where I was running on the machine, and then I was talking.
I didn't see that one.
That one,
I saw that one as
got
well.
a negative reaction because it's like the first person who's seen that hasn't seen me do anything practical except be some random like Middle Eastern guy running on the machine going, "Yeah, I didn't want to come to the gym, and I'm now here." I looked at that and I'm like, if I saw this guy, I'd be like, "You're a fucking dickhead. Get off my feed." So I'm learning, and so are you too. And I don't think people know that we know that it's annoying some people, but
100%.
here it is. Here's point blank. It is such an incredible tool. It is transforming our lives so much. We get way more positive than negative. When I'm going out every single week, and I told you, and it's like blowing me away because I have I'm just creeping on 2,000 followers. So I'm like 20 or 30 away, right? And when I go out,
growing like the last month.
it's been
You're
crazy,
flying, man. I'm looking at
And
you,
by the
I'm
way,
like,
the followers are Melbourne people.
Yeah.
Who are here?
Yeah.
Who I've like, you know, it's not anything crazy. It's not like, so when I'm going out and I'm going to like any of like the clubs that you guys are running, or even like I went to the Osborne.
Or the opposition that you like to.
The opposition.
Yeah.
Well, if
There's a good reason for that.
If there was an alternative, and I'll get approached and by
Coming
people
soon.
I don't, but coming soon. I'll get approached by people that I don't know, and I'm just like, and they'll say things like, "Man, you know, like because of you, like I ended up doing this, and now this is what my business is doing," and I'm like, I can't ever stop.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
can't ever stop.
Yeah.
I just can't. Like, okay, I understand. I'm gonna cop it. I understand there's gonna be a group of people going, "Who the fuck is this guy?" and why is it? But I just can't stop. It generates business.
No, 100%.
And it helps people, man.
Like, you get 10 people reacting, 7 love it, 2 hate it, 1 becomes a client. Like,
Yeah.
that client makes it.
I think it's.
like, how do you even?
I think we're putting too much of a shine onto these negative people.
I was going to say, like, how's this even up for discussion?
There's no.
But it's good to kind of mention it and kind of like break that fourth wall where it's like we understand that this is happening. Don't think we're kind of
100%.
blinded to it.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But guys, we're gonna do it anyways.
Yeah,
but we're gonna do it anyways.
But I just-
you know.
But what does it take for someone to, like, hypothetically, I don't know you and I see your post, like, what does it take for someone to actually go there, comment, share it around to their friends, look at this dickhead?
Hey, Jack's funny. I've actually got a full story about someone sharing my post and accidentally like bagging me.
I know this one.
Tell me.
It's a good one.
It's so good.
Tell me.
So what I do is, talking about annoying, like I actually like to do, like if you see some wacky videos from time to time where I'll do something stupid like start singing to a camera or just be ultra weird just because I want to see the share count. And one of them was just pretty outrageous with his share count. I literally got over 100 shares. It was great. It's on Instagram. So
Is that where you're like, let's get going?
yeah,
Or something like that?
stuff like that. Just, there's so many of them. But anyway, this one, I think it was me just like a I can't remember what it was. It was just stupid. But I was just it was trial and error for.
You've done so many, you've lost count.
Yeah, to see how people react. So Anyway, I did that, and this guy responds to me saying, haha, look at this dickhead. Like, what a fucking idiot. And like, he wasn't following me, and I just kind of just wrote, I'm like, man, I think you've written it in the wrong group.
Someone sent it to him. And he's responded.
Yeah. So he's probably clicked the video and he's responded to me. So I'm just laughing about it. I'm like, don't stress. It's all good, man. And he's like, hey, honestly, like I wasn't talking to you. I was supposed to click some other profile, and I'm like, man, you've just been busted.
Let it go.
Just
save
admit,
face.
I'm like, I still like you. Like, it's all good.
Nah, it's all good. Like, we understand it.
And he's like, no, it wasn't. I'm like, okay, he made up some story. I'm like, we'll stick to that story. And he's like, we'll do. Like,
yeah. And you know, and there are so many other people that like are that I wish more people kind of knew about. Especially here in Melbourne, like aside
As in
from
like up and comers.
yeah, oh man, just some people that more people should follow. Like Peter Try's a big one. I think Peter Try's.
He's got a big following.
He does.
Yeah.
He does. No, like, I think
definitely well deserved.
If I was to probably mention someone on the side of like more people should know about, probably Jerry Sarkis.
Jerry, definitely.
But
he's starting to blow at the moment.
Yeah, with the stuff they're doing. With
he's starting to blow.
Yeah. I wish it was more as well, because like I don't know, from me speaking, like, yes, like I'm up and coming and I'm doing stuff, but like Jerry's legit, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that's some real success, real backing, real everything. So
I think it would be great if he did.
Is there anyone else?
Show some more, which I think he will over time.
He will. Yeah, I've seen a couple of videos. Yeah, you
Come on, Jerry.
You got to do it. Is there anyone else? Is there anyone else?
There's a lot.
Plenty, man.
There's heaps. There's heaps.
There's plenty. And I think it comes down to whoever wants to get themselves out there as well. Like, you know, just hypothetically, someone starts a business worth 20 million, you know, and they're smashing it and they're making all this money and etc. If they're not going to get on the camera and give value and you know, really document and all that kind of stuff, then there's no real reason to follow. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I'd rather follow you, who's day to day, you're showing your hustle, you're showing when you get in, when you get out, what it takes, what you're doing, etc.
Make sure you get close to that, bro.
Sorry, brother. You're showing what you do on a day to day, and I'm learning. And you know what it takes to get there. So it's intriguing, it's interesting. Like, I don't want to follow someone who just shows a photo of his Ferrari. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
It's all about that value.
It's value.
It's a reality.
So, you know, the guys like Peter Try and Jerry and those guys, they're starting to get really good at that.
Yeah. Showing the value and
100%. And the back end of everything, like the back end's so important.
Yeah.
Like, for Peter Try, for example, like he still shows him, you know, picking up business and clients and like, fuck, it's just
you know
real.
What?
Like,
when you look at, like, for example, like Peter Try, right?
Like
he was in his van, right?
That's what I'm saying. It's
and
real
I'm like,
as fuck.
And you would think, like,
it's real as fuck.
You don't know. Like, you don't know that this guy is like, he's at the top of that food chain in his business,
right?
And
he's driving around the van picking up business. Like,
that's how he got there.
100%.
It doesn't
100%.
stop. It doesn't
100%.
change.
100%.
Like, it's just this false idea of like, what happens when you make it? Like, just kind of sit back and it's like,
just let it rain. You know?
Especially, you know, you go after it and you go after it hard, and it's cool that he shares it, because 100%. If he didn't, you would have no idea.
Correct.
You honestly would have no idea.
It's really cool to see. Like, you go and see all the products on the
shelf. He
shelf.
actually called you.
Yes,
that was cool, man. To see him that he called you.
It was really cool. Yeah.
I was like, when he said Christian Gravias, I called Christian Gravias. I'm yes, what the fuck? Yes, man, I love that. You know, and Peter's he's always interactive. Like, he'll support my stuff, and I'll do my best to support him. But like, for him to call you, that was like,
it was cool.
That to me was like, yes, man, like so well deserved as well, because you picked up and you weren't overseas, right? Tell us about your overseas trip. See, that's cool as well. That's like a testimony to actually being in like moments like that where you're just like, I want to watch the Champions League, and I can. And you just picked up. Literally, it was like a week before you bought your tickets. You got tickets to and then you just left.
And we
Europe.
flew 15-day trek, and we're back here doing a podcast. So
yeah, how was it?
Like, I never left. It was brilliant, amazing.
Any insane, dangerous stories or fun stories?
Not really. Probably Madrid. Not dangerous or fairly scary. Like, I compare, like, a big comparison of like why I really enjoyed to go over there was, obviously I do Collins Sports, which is sports management as well. 95% of my time is Collins Real Estate, but I give a little 5% for a business that I've started for a year. It's a business that I do want to grow in time. I've actually just applied to become an AFL sports agent last night. So,
Wow, okay.
and that's actually on the back of actually going to the Champions League.
Okay.
Now, when you compare a Champions League to an AFL Grand Final, you really can't. Just the Champions League is the absolute pinnacle of everything. It's world football. The only difference is that I would probably have to move over to Europe.
It's a huge market over there.
Huge market. To really take it on, you'd have to go to Europe. And a real estate agent from Melbourne has actually done that. So he was pretty much at the top of the game, and now he's pretty much packed up. He's been over in Europe for a year to take on that journey. So, but more what I took about it was, you know what? I'm not going to take on Europe just yet, but I'd take on the pinnacle of Australian sport, which is the AFL. So that's something that I got out of it, which was really, really good. Overall,
you didn't post much. I thought you'd be a bit more active while you were, but you just decided to kind of disconnect a little bit.
I noticed that too. Actually, you didn't really document too much.
There were days. I think for the first few days I didn't. Then I probably went.
Oh yeah, disappeared a little bit.
Yeah, then probably a week straight I did, and then the last 5 days or so I didn't either.
Yeah.
There was just certain points. I think it was more. I wanted to relax, trying to just take it back. Like, even with work, didn't really do much. I kind of did. I just
it's
chilled.
probably one of the first
holiday.
The first, because I mean you do you have quite a few holidays. Like every year you probably take a couple.
Yeah, every year I take two.
But it's always like really
beats me, man.
Yeah, 2 of 10 days. Well, this one was 15. So.
But it's always like he's always really still involved. What's going on? What's happening with this? People calling him, and I think this one, and we've never. I don't think we've ever really been structured well enough to get you away from there. Like it's always been like Christian's the guy for everything.
Yeah.
And now it's getting to a stage where like it's starting to be able to run without him. Yeah. It's run so well with the right processes and the right systems and the right everything.
And the staff is just incredible.
The team.
Shout out to the boys.
Shout out to the boys. Shout out the names as well.
Mate, all of them. Stefan, Caleb, Michael, Harry. Mate, they're all superstars.
I love the boys. Spiro.
Hey,
shout out to Spiro.
Shout out to Spiro.
And his water perfume.
Yeah.
What the
great. Oh, that's actually a really good story. That was actually brilliant.
That's so fun.
Going back to the team, like all crap aside, like our team of boys there are phenomenal. Like the work ethic is.
I struck gold with
it's crazy. Like I think they've been picked so well, and they're all on a mission. Everyone wants to be there. Everyone
Let's
wants
shout
to
out
be
Casey
the best.
as well. Casey's
the little superstar, the little Townsville tornado. I got to give him a call. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but I think it's a really, really scary story. On like a culture to me is absolutely like it's massive, and it's not just to me; it's to everybody. It's to a sports team. How it's to everything. Culture makes chemistry. It makes such a big difference. So. Really, it's our team is probably the youngest team in Australia. We're an average age.
You reckon we can make that statement? I reckon.
Yes.
Yeah, we probably make that statement.
I can definitely make that statement.
When you talk about the owner or the director, which is you, being
everybody
24, 25, or 25, and then you average
we got
out.
Me and Harry 25. We got Stefan 23. Aaron 21. Caleb 21. Spiros 21.
And Michael
25.
Yeah. The oldest is 25, the youngest is 21.
Yeah.
It's an average of about 20.
And then when you had Casey there, like he even brought that even further down when he was just 17. So definitly, and
I'm keeping it young too with Waleed.
Yeah.
100%.
Everyone loves Waleed, man.
It's a good way to go.
Like, he's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah.
The problem is when you're young, like, you know, like we bring off a certain culture that just suits the environment so well. Like, and a lot of young guys starting out, like it makes perfect sense. We're at a size where we're boutique enough for someone to be able to come in and learn every aspect of the business too. You know, we're not an agency with 50 employees where it's like, okay, you're going to be stacking these papers and that's all you're going to do for the next year. It's like you're going to come on and learn every aspect of what you want to do. So in terms of experience, that plays a big role for the boys too.
It's like you're not pretty much a chocolate in the chocolate factory. But it's great. It's honestly a great little environment, and weird the way I kind of wanted to go down this path. Wolf of Wall Street. Shout out to Jordan Belfort.
Oh, really?
Watched this
The movie.
Yeah, and if you,
No.
if you remember,
Shouts out to Leonardo DiCaprio and Matthew McConaughey.
yeah,
If you see Jordan like do a podcast or act in real life, like Leo got him that well.
Yeah.
Like every little aspect of him, he mirrored. Like,
Well, Leonardo
to a
DiCaprio
T.
is still like that type of. There's a reason why he's at the top of the. He's just
100%.
absolutely like kind of down and obsessed and gets people's characters spot on. Were you going to finish up a point?
not really.
So I also want to. That's good. I really wanted to talk about the nightlife, and I
Sure.
wanted to talk about what you guys because that's played a big part of your life as well. In addition to kind of being part of Collings and building that up as well. You've played a big role, like a big part of your life has been in the nightlife, and honestly running. The most. It's not like it's like the most popular clubs for like our age group.
our age group and demographic, definitely is.
The ones that everyone goes to, and I was going to before I even met you and all that, and I always had so many questions. I was always so curious.
Ask away.
I was always so curious about how it all worked and what it would be like, being one of the people that ran the nights and the misconceptions and things like that. So, first of all, right, first thing I'm going to ask you is, what would you say are like the great points of it, and then and kind of touch in how you got involved in it as well, because you got involved in it young.
All right, so I'll start with how we got involved. I was 18 at the time. My brother Stan was a DJ. He was DJing at all the Melbourne nightclubs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 99% sure that it was his idea, and he just said, like, look, I was young at the time. I funnily enough, I was not a big going out kind of guy, and to this day, I'm still not.
Yeah,
so it's kind of odd in that sense.
It's very odd.
So yeah, I'd been to a few clubs every now and again. I'd go. And he said, look, I think we should start our own night. Like, there's so many opportunities. I know a lot of people in the scene and all that kind of stuff. So he had a friend who the third thing was, like, Stan was he knew the scene, the DJs, etc. But we hadn't done nights, so it's kind of a different ball game. And we had a friend that wanted to do a night with us. Two of Stan's friends, and we approached La Di Da, which was where fashion started. They had nothing there on a Friday. It had been vacant for 2 years, or something like that. And they just said, well, we got nothing on, so go for your life. You start whenever you want, just let us know. So, okay.
Was it mainly
Easy.
it was because Stan was obviously a DJ, so a lot of people had kind of like known about him. Or was it? Or did you get most of the people down just from straight away jumping into social advertising?
No, it was also like no one just came. Like, it was all social. Like, it was all.
Yeah, it was no one like just came because Stan was.
Yeah,
DJ,
no, at all. Like,
It was a different scene. Like, it was a different scene anyway.
Yeah, he was DJing more full on minimal and underground Melbourne stuff, that kind of. And yeah, so we launched that. We had a good promoter crew behind us. And we launched out at Fashion, and that night, I still remember, so the launch was looking huge. We sold out all the booths. Shout out to all our friends like that support us for the first 4 weeks. Like, funnily enough, I don't think we would have got through it if we didn't have the support of our own social networks. Just like, I'm just going to come down and support the boys. Just
Yeah, it was good. It was
crazy.
actually
Like,
really good.
the whole club was a party of, like, everyone was known for, like, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was actually the first
testament to you guys.
the first
so
2 weeks actually really enjoyable because it was just like all the booths were all the boys.
Yeah, so I owe them, everyone,
and that kicked it off.
100%. So the first night we were looking huge. I remember I was so excited. It was my girlfriend's 18th birthday. I left the house early that night. Wasn't happy with me, but you got to do what
Shout
you got to do.
out to D.
Shout out to D. Sorry. And that was the night of the Burke Street murders. You know, the pretty sure it was the guy drove.
5 people.
He drove through the city. Correct. That was the night.
Didn't you have to cancel and go a week later?
No, we didn't.
No, you went for it.
Yeah, so we thought we were going to cancel because the news was clear. Everyone cleared the city.
Right.
The city's locked down.
That's right.
And then we just disaster. We started getting left, right, and center. We started getting messages and all this kind of stuff. You guys still open? What's going on? Booths started cancelling on us, and birthdays cancelling. And I'm just like, oh no, like, this is just the worst luck ever.
No.
Anyway, so where we wanted to do, we had plans when we were going to fill the whole club out. We probably filled it to half that night. It was still a good vibe. It was just a big downer. Like
it was enjoyable.
I got to the city in 13 minutes, like record timing, because there was no traffic. The whole place was deserted. Parked out the front, jumped in. Like there was no one in the city. Right, everyone deserted. So that was tough. And then week 2 came, and week 2 was pretty bad. Like week 2 was like, oh, what have I done?
No.
Like it's coming. Like I remember going to coffee with a few of my mates just before the 3rd week, and I'm like, if this Friday's not busy, it's all over. Like we shut up shop, like it's done. And then I don't know what happened that 3rd week with the team and everyone just bang. It just exploded from there, and then from then on, it just went up and up and up and up and up, and we took it to an unbelievable high. It was amazing. Wow. Yeah, it's been crazy. So then from there on, we went and opened up Cupid, and then we moved to Boutique, went back, moved to Love Saturdays.
Obviously waiting for the renovation.
Yeah, because they renovated.
Love Saturdays, that was special, man.
That was crazy.
Honestly, I remember going to it and I was just like...
That was your favourite. You deserted every other nightclub in Melbourne after that.
That Reno was...
what nightclub,
yeah,
bro?
that Reno was insane.
Yeah, that Reno. What nightclub? There was just... And the thing is, by the time you opened, I was probably 22. Yeah. Before I had turned 23. And so I'd had around 4 years of going to clubs.
Yeah.
And... I would be considered a veteran, right?
Definitely, you've done the rounds.
I've done the rounds. In terms of, I've always tried to make an effort to like really enjoy. My social groups really like kind of going out 100%. As well. Like we enjoy that and working hard, but we go out, right? And
I saw that. Don't worry.
Yeah,
a few booth bookings. Sorry, you're all right.
You're all right. You're all right.
Too much money.
No. Cash money, brother.
Yeah. No. And that was just special, man. It wasn't just the venue. Venue was amazing. It was the people. It was the vibes. It was the
unreal.
Fact that
all round.
It's like you started. The first week was huge, and then it got bigger, and then it got bigger, and then it got bigger, and then it was just like. It just took over. There was just nowhere anyone else wanted to go, and just a special night. I remember I used to go and to have so much fun. And then now you guys are potentially you're gonna do Baroq Fridays as well.
100%. So we're joining on the team there at Baroq on a Friday. Exciting, yeah. So it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be super cool venue. Yeah. Again, it's cool because like all these venues that we jump into, it's like I've never been there before. Because like I said, I was never a big. So like my first thing is like, this is mad.
This could work.
This could work. Like and Baroq's one of those places. It was but they renovated recently. Before the reno, it was super popular, and even now like. It's a really cool night. The crowd is unbelievable there. All the guys there are amazing. I went
once when I was like 18.
Bro, it was really good. Yeah.
Stan used to go a lot.
Correct. So, we were joining on there. So it's going to be really interesting. So
when you were running the clubs, you're still young, but even back then you were young as well. You were 19?
End of 18.
End of 18, 19. And then for like, say, 2 years, you're running some of the most successful nights in Melbourne. As I mentioned again, a lot of people came up.
Yep.
And the clubs were doing really well, and so were you guys as well. So you were young and added something that you built yourself. You were making some good money as well. Like, what was how did you feel about that? Like, your income would have just kind of changed quite overnight, and every week was like getting after you got over the humps. Every week was getting. But how did you react being young and doing well as well? Are you happy with? Would you change anything?
Look, to be honest, not really. Like, I don't know. Money never really. It wasn't like, I don't know. I was always, I don't know. I never really looked at it in the aspect of like, oh my god, like we're not making piles of money. But yeah, it didn't really affect me much in that aspect. It was cool. Like socially, it's really cool. You meet a lot of cool people.
Big connections and stuff.
Big connections. There's a lot of people like people like yourself that. You might work really hard Monday to Friday, and then come Friday night, like I want to get out of here. Like, you got people spending $5,000 on booths. Like, you got people with a lot of businesses.
You guys had a $15,000 booth as well, right?
Not on Saturday. It was on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
On the Sunday, yeah. A couple of people booked that That's kind crazy. Of stupid money. So yeah, like for us, like socially, it's really cool. It starts like when you start your night at the place, you're just like. Is amazing, and then like It's great. And as the weeks go on, like it's great. Don't get me wrong. It starts to become a job. It's a job too, right? At the end of the day, like for you to go, it's good for you because you go there. No one bothers you. You sit in your booth. You have a laugh. You drink. Life's good.
I love how you assumed I'd just have a booth. As if I wouldn't go to a club without a booth.
Yeah, because that's 90% of the way true. But yeah, like for us, it's a little bit different. You know, there's expectations. There's
people messaging
beyond belief. There's you know, if I don't help you, I'm a dog.
Yeah. I think
there's all that kind of like
yeah.
That's it's.
Because the thing is, on the night, people are like relying on you as a connection, or like any of the other boys.
100%. Like a place like, especially like a place like, you know, our nights are pretty strict on the door, dress code, that kind of stuff. So there's always a problem. Like the issues are unreal. Like, and when you got a club that, you know, you're letting in only a certain amount of people and the rest get knocked back, and then all your friends get knocked back. Like I have a friend whose friend got knocked back, and I'm trying to do a million things inside. I'm calling messages, calls, taps on the shoulder, and like it's non-stop. Like it's you've seen it firsthand. Like the amount of times I remember you're like, I'm so sorry, man.
Yeah,
I hate doing this to you.
I know.
Even people messaging me, and I got nothing to do with it.
So here's the thing: it falls over. Like when you think about that scene, right? Everyone is going to have a good time. Everyone's dressed nice. Everyone wants to look good. That the underlying guys want to look good for girls. Girls want to look good for other girls and for guys. Naturally for themselves. We've got to be like, you know, just as it's just a reality. We're there to like kind of look good. Now, what happens when you've got people relying on you, which is like, say, your girl or like a group of friends, and you know, say, Aaron, and then Aaron can't help you get in. You've just not knocked me back. You've embarrassed me with everyone else that I've come. And that is like, I can't live that down. You know what I mean? You know, so that's where you find the struggle. But even when I'm saying to you, like, I'm sorry, it's because it trickles down. So you're the one copping it the worst. But also now that I've managed to be like, oh yeah, like I know Aaron, so like I'll just get let in every time. I'm inside, I'm trying to have a good time, and they're like, hey, my mate's outside, can you speak to Aaron to see if he can? And then it's like, I can't, because then it just, you know, it's like I would just absolutely like do your head in, and then it just trickles down, but it's really hard.
But that's with everyone. Like I've had people like I promise you that I've never spoken to like in my life. Like I get phone calls, messages like, hey man, like if you could just do me a great favor. I'm like, who the? What?
You know when it starts like that.
Like, what? What is going on? Like I don't know. Like it's it's interesting. There's a lot of expectation. People, like you said, people relying on you, especially when they've waited in line for an hour and then got knocked back. It's like, and then you know they see me outside, and sometimes I generally can't help them for whatever reason. Could be a dress code, or it could be a licensing issue, or whatever it is. That remains kind of out of our control, and like it's still like I know it's in your control. I'm like, yeah, but it's not. Like, yes, it is. I'm like, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
So that makes it tough. But overall, can't complain. It's been really cool. It's been a really cool journey. Hopefully, I've got a few more years left in me. I'm still young, so we'll see where the road takes us.
Yeah, I'm excited for this Friday. Yeah, I'm not sure this is going to probably come out after, but yeah, if you're watching this, what do you think, bro?
I haven't got a booth inquiry yet.
Yeah, I know.
That's all right. I'll stitch it for your money later after this podcast.
Too good.
What I want to do really quickly is before we jumped into this, we all made some stories and said if you've got any questions, shoot them through. You've sent me a list. Did you want to check if it's been updated with more, or have you checked?
No.
Check. Otherwise, I've got a bunch of questions here that we can go through.
Shoot away.
What I want to do is try and keep our answers like as short as possible. Not all of us have to answer the same question, just so we can get through as many of them as possible. And let's try and just kind of get straight to the point for them, so that we can actually get through all of them, because there's a fair bit both on mine and yours.
Yeah, I don't really have a reception in here. I'm trying to load.
Oh no. Yeah. Actually, you're right. I think I might be connected to the internet. That's why I'm all good.
Oh, Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Yeah.
Okay, so let's kind of go through them. So someone asked, how did Collings come about? All you or others that started the journey? How did Collings come about? We've pretty much already touched on it.
Yeah, we touched on it.
Kind of brief
rundown.
10 seconds.
Father was in the game for years, retired, came back in and
started it back.
Yeah, started it back.
And then you took it and run with it. Now also, I just want to kind of like touch on something. And I know you guys will never talk about this, but I will. and that is, coming from a family that like I wasn't like a family of business or got any help, and it was like also like always struggling financially and stuff. People in my kind of demographic always grew up with this like negative connotation about individuals who came from a family that was doing okay and also did something, and it would always discredit them for their hard work and for their efforts. You guys are like the living proof of how that is so incredibly unfair to do, because I've seen how hard you work. I know what you've done. And the sad thing is, no matter how big you take it, what you take and what you build,
your dad
started it. Your dad did it. But their family's wealthy, isn't it? Yeah. Their family is wealthy, but I'm pretty sure Tom didn't jump in and help you start the nightclubs. And I'm pretty sure that, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't. And the thing is, it's like, okay, we all start from one particular place and we all have different spots we start at, but it's all a game of trajectory. Someone who starts out here and doesn't do really well with their money, even if it's their family's wealth, will piss it and go that way. And 100%. Someone who starts at the bottom, who makes good decisions, will end up that way. And at one point, they'll end up meeting down the line.
It's like Tim Gurner. We had this conversation before. About how
Gary
much,
Vaynerchuk.
Even Gary Vee, like how much hate these guys cop. Like, Gurner put that ad about the smashed Avo and everyone's smashing him. You got help, etc., etc. And it's like, yeah, you probably did get help. But
we all did help. If we live in Australia, we've got help.
But like if you see like what this guy's done, like his vision, his achievements, like how hard this guy's probably worked to do what he's done, like it's out of this world.
Or
like,
even like
he's started here and he's just gone bang. Like he's taken it to a different league.
We'll
like
take it even further. Gary Vaynerchuk, because his dad's wine business was worth $3 million, and Gary Vee just turned it to 60, and then he left and just went and opened up VaynerMedia and killed it, and then just does Vayner Sports and he's killed it there. But
there's always a stigma.
It's always a stigma of like, but if it wasn't for all this money, like
I think the important part is just to stay true to yourself. I think hypothetically,
it's never affected you guys.
But it's not even that. Like what you've done. Like if hypothetically, like in our situation, like for example, the old man did start the business and helped in that way. But he's when like by the time he kind of got back into it, he started to become pretty inactive. Like he definitely all credits to starting it. Like there's no negotiations there. But he lost touch. Like he's 55, I think. He's kind of thrown in the towel slowly. So he was kind of on his end of the journey. If he started the business in 2000 and then sold it in 2010 or 2011, like if he had run it through from 2000 all the way and then Christian jumped on there, I think we'd be a lot more better off. That's the first thing. Like that was probably. I was like, if he just hung on for another 5 years and then Christian jumped on and maybe that argument would be relevant.
Just to summarize,
but we literally he literally started with like at zero. Or 15 properties.
I like I said, sometimes you just need someone from the outside looking in to kind of just talk to the audience, be like, look, I know these boys, I know what they've done. That does not apply. Just don't use it. It's more like as a defense mechanism. And I think when I think they would like put out that Kylie Jenner had become like a self-made billionaire. There's this obsession about self-made. I think
genius, man.
Yeah, she's done really well. I pretty much summarized it in a sentence, which was, credit needs to be given to those who started from nothing and made something of themselves, but credit also needs to be given for people that have started with something and made it something
to the next
more.
Level, like
and 100x
and made it something more. Okay, in both cases, they are moving forward and they are improving their situation, and that needs to be celebrated, regardless where they start. So I think we've got that question answered. Why are you focusing more on rentals than sales?
No, I think it was just one of those things that when I first started, 19 years old, I thought I was going to take on the world, and I was trying to become this big salesman, and obviously wasn't too successful at it. Then Tommy just turned around and said, "You know what? Just start focusing on rentals. You got to start from somewhere." And
by the way, Tommy refers to Dad.
Which is my dad. Yeah,
Tommy.
So I started there, and kind of. I don't know.
What's his other nicknames? Big Don?
TG.
I think that's
Boss,
pretty much it.
Godfather.
Nah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, yeah.
Don't push it.
I think it's just I just enjoy it. It's not
cool.
saying that we don't focus on sales. It's just
But also, you were telling me like the rentals end up leading to sales one day in the
Of
future.
course,
and that's
yeah.
why-
So I think
I know the value of the business.
Yeah,
as
so
well,
the main reason
Yeah.
is look, so we didn't come from a background of working in other businesses and building, sales role under a gun salesman, PA, and working up that way. So for us, the rent roll is an exit strategy down the track. When you sell the business, you can't sell an active sales listing. You're going to sell your rent roll that brings in recurring income. So for us, it's an exit strategy, and so many sales come off that rent roll. So, for example, there's 400 rental properties in the business, and there's got to be 10 or 20 that sell every year. So they're kind of, if you service well, they're almost guaranteed sales.
yeah.
So it's also pretty
You're pretty much 90%
of the way
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for that reason, it's kind of a no-brainer. And Christian just grew so well getting them. He's just like, okay, we'll just keep doing this. It's working. So
Yeah.
but we definitely don't neglect sales. It's definitely an area of the business that we're looking at constantly and saying, how can we improve it? How
Yeah.
can we?
We've got a fair
Better-
few sale properties actually coming up.
Yeah. So it's always
I see you
part
guys
of the
doing both. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're definitely doing both. Definitely trying to excel in both.
Just a bit more focus has been on
on
rentals.
the rentals.
If starting next financial year, we had a meeting just the other day, and massive discussions were about sales and how we're going to start escalating it. So you will see me delving a little bit more into it coming
Awesome.
in the next financial year.
Best advice for landing a job in real estate? Let's try and keep the answers.
I
as
know
short as
you've got a
possible.
good one
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. Just rock up to the office. Doesn't matter. Just say you've got an appointment with the director. Let him come out and pitch him why he needs you on the team. Well, about what real estate really is getting in front of someone,
Doors, yeah.
getting in the door. So, pretty much lying your way through it. Not lying.
Not really.
That's
Yeah.
lying to the secretary.
Yeah.
Deceiving.
Deceiving your way through it.
Best coffee on High Street?
Oh, it's...
If you say someone, they'll probably...
It's espresso room.
Espresso room?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
I don't really
Shout out to
know.
Alex.
Espresso
That's where
room,
you
yeah.
were today, having your coffee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was good.
So you didn't even know.
Yeah, good coffee.
Too busy closing deals, huh?
Where's the that question that you told me not to ask?
I don't know.
What's your favorite sex position?
That was just said.
some of the questions that get sent through are just
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Good fun, man.
Yeah.
People want to know more. What can you do? When you work hard on a project and then it ends up failing, or you get negative results, how do you deal with it?
I think in general, like project, property that I don't pick up, or just anything life in general, I just kind of look at it and say, well, you made a mistake for not giving it to me. And I just smile and just keep going. I don't think I've ever really dwelled on if I haven't ever won a listing, or if things
What
haven't
happens if
really...
you get a listing and then don't sell it and fail in that aspect? Boom, boom, boom.
Well, then, I don't know. I suck.
I think that's probably more what the question was referring to.
Yeah, no, well, was it?
I reckon. Up to perception.
Okay, so I can probably jump into this one because I've been working on so in the digital world, right? So our digital agency will take on, say, small businesses for websites,
Yeah.
and then we'll take on, SEO contracts, and there's like a standard that we go at, right?
Yeah.
Every now and then we get the opportunity to pitch a massive client,
Yeah.
where it's like the size of 10 clients, and it's like an overnight game changer.
Correct.
And for me, I've been working on a project, right, for 5 months chasing this particular company, which we got the opportunity to pitch to. And it has been extremely draining, very demotivating at times because, I put in so much effort. There was one weekend where I spent the entire weekend putting together a 45-page proposal. And then 2 months later, I called him and I met with and he didn't even look at it. Didn't even look at it. He just...
Yeah, but look at the bright side.
Never looked
you
at
made
it.
a 45-page proposal.
So to answer the question, right, and we're still kind of going after him. We should hear back very soon. And the chances of us actually getting it are still very slow, but small. But when we got the opportunity last Tuesday to repitch to actually change up, they told us we can repitch, or there was for a different company, but it was theirs, and the contract was still of the same size. It's very complicated, but when we got the opportunity to do that, I pretty much shut things down for 2 days, and myself and Waleed were in at 5 a.m. I was coming in at 5:30, and he would show up as well, and we stayed really late and just completely dedicated to this. Sent the proposal, and we still haven't heard back, and this is a proposal that might not even be looked at either. Another 45 pages. It was like 50 pages actually. Now, if I don't get this, or I already thought I didn't get it, so I've went through working on a tough project and then getting a negative result, I always make sure that I understand that what I'm gaining goes beyond the money and it goes beyond closing the deal.
Yep.
That I'm always gaining something. And I think if you can think in that way, no matter what you go through, the project fails or it doesn't, you stop looking at the outcome of whether it's a success and a failure, and you just look in between at what you're learning.
Always.
You know? And so
Find the light in
that's
the
how
darkness.
I think about it.
Yeah,
Whatever.
there's always a bright side.
Whatever I'm doing, I'm still gaining something.
Always.
I've learned, I've fixed up my prices. I've been able to, I learned how to do proper research. I've put together an actual proposal that I can use.
You got the template now to
The
use
template,
for, 100%.
And that was actually the business that got me started on actually putting together a template. So
I remember.
So, man, I think to answer that question would be just understand, kind of detach yourself from that end outcome, and try to look in between. Try to find what you're learning, what you're gaining along the way. It's teaching you discipline. It was really awesome to know that when it came down to it, me and Waleed showed up. We were able, at least I know I was able to get up when I needed to. I was in the office when I said I would be, and I worked for as long as I needed to.
And you went as hard as possible.
I went as hard as possible. That to me there is enough. I've already got my return on my time investment. So, so I think that would be the answer to that question. One thing I wanted to kind of ask you about is as well, people don't understand just how difficult this game of entrepreneurship can be. And I think this would be like the final thing that we touch on before we bring the podcast to an unfortunate close. Is what would you say would be like a point where you were at a real low point, and how'd you kind of get through it, or do you remember it? Have you kind of ever fell through just experience anxiety or depression or anything like that?
Never anxiety or depression, but like a lot of points where I'm just kind of staring at the wall. And I remember in the old office where I was just by myself, and I'd be like, this ain't happening. And I'd be staring at a wall just like what am I going to do? And I'd get home and...
That was a rough wall, no windows either.
Yeah, it was pretty painful. And I'd just get home.
If you were thinking that was a rough wall, imagine how the wall was feeling staring back at you, bro.
Fair point. Nah, but
joking.
I think it was just always... Just keep pushing. Like it's gonna happen. Just keep working, and yeah, things as we say, it's still nowhere near it. And
believing in yourself.
Just believing that.
If you believe in your goal and what you're doing, I don't think anything will stop.
And it
what you know
goes back to just clarity, as you said. Just be so clear on your vision. I think
that's one thing you've been super good at, just being clear on exactly where it wants to go.
Yeah,
I think you've always
and it helps. Like that's why even when you were talking about it earlier, like it just resonated so much.
Yeah. That clarity, establish that clarity.
Yeah, of course.
100%. Yeah.
Were you gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna say he's Christian. Even like before, Christian was probably the first one to pick up on and everything we're doing in the office. Where we wanted it to go, where it was heading, how the real estate game was changing for the better. I think he was the first one to really click onto it. And it took me a little while to kind of see where he was going with it, and now it's just like super clear on what's happening. It's like, okay, I know what's going on.
Boys.
So now it's like we're both kind of on the same page of what we want to head.
Could you imagine where we're going to be 1 year from now?
It's pretty. Yeah, it was.
It's crazy.
Even looking back. Like
1 year.
1 year from now,
we laugh. We laugh all the time. Like
bro,
when I first started, so I went to uni for about 6 weeks. Pulled the pin, hated it. So like I was like the only hope in the family of like getting that education. So like Stan, my other brother, he did VCal. He got 24. So I was the only
28.
Sorry, 28. I'm sorry. So I was the only one that was willing to pull something off in school.
But you get like 90 something.
Not 92 or something.
Yeah.
So it was all looking good, Everyone was looking good. The grandfather was fucking doing cartwheels. The old man couldn't believe his eyes.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to become this big ass lawyer, criminal barrister. I don't know what I was going to become. And I think I got about 6 weeks in, man. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Ain't happening. So I went on to move into work full time in the office. And like I remember at the time, like it was me, Christian, and I think it was Chris. It was Chris Vitz.
Yeah.
I think it was me, Christian, and Chris. And like, it was like, there was just no like, it was just like, what the fuck's going on? Like, we're there, but we're not even there. Like, shit was just everywhere, man. Like, so it's and we laugh at it now. We're like we look at like certain templates and systems. It's like, oh my god, like we were doing this by hand 18 months ago. Like, what's going on?
Oh, there was
like,
one that we only just found out yesterday.
yeah, yesterday. So like our account sales. So when we invoice clients. When we just
do
the
it
record,
manually.
So like my got his in the office and like got his little template and he puts sale and deposit and he changes all these things manually and I'm sitting there
and like it's so annoying because like
it takes him and
we've got a list like get rid of Tommy out of the office. So like slowly we're knocking off the list and one of them was like account sales.
So our job, like what we're aiming to do is kind of like, well, I'm a dad, like you're on stage, you're like you don't need to be here anymore, just go do you. You know, you've done what you've done, just call it a day. Go travel, get a hobby, whatever you want to do. And one of the jobs was he does our account sales, and it takes a long time. And I'm sitting there, I'm like,
there's got to be a better way.
Oh my god, we're so dumb. I'm like, we have a system that has all this information. I guarantee if you just click on it, you'll find a way that does it.
It was one
and
button.
Christian, go check. He's like, oh my god. Like it was one of those oh my god moments. I was like, we've been doing this for like so every day we're just learning and that's the thing, like we've never worked in it. Like all the guys in our office have actually helped us because they've come from big franchises and they'd be like, why do you do it like that? Like at our office we just did this and this. I'm like, oh shit, like that's so much. Like so they've helped us along the way to really to help grow, and we're at a stage now where we're still learning every day. Like I've never worked in anywhere else, so I don't see how they do their account sales. Like if I worked in another, maybe that's something we should have done. You know, worked in another office for 6 months, I would learn their whole system inside out and implemented it. But we just didn't do that. So yeah, still learning every day in that aspect, which is really cool. It's funny. It's kind of funny just to see shit that you just like, I can't believe I missed on that.
I've got stories like that, but we'll leave it. Especially with the tutoring, I used to send individual invoices for every single hour.
Yeah, and they're like,
have to keep track of all the payments. Then I put it on the system when it was just like a button.
Yeah.
200 invoices out. Everyone's account charged. It keeps track of everything. I used to have an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah. It was ridiculous. And that's like
part of the game, no?
Part of the game, 100%. So I think we're going to wrap things up there. What is your Instagram handle? I just want to do a quick shout out.
At Aaron Gravias.
And you?
At Christian Gravias.
That's it.
Very creative.
Leo Hullaby. Yeah, very very creative names. It's just a testimony to how creative.
To change it to the official Christian Gravias or something.
Oh, bro, please don't.
Get out of here.
You're going to cop it if you do that, bro.
Could you imagine?
Don't do that.
It'd be so rough.
Oh my God. All right, guys. That wraps up episode number 3 of the No Limits podcast. Looking forward to the next one. Guess who I've actually got on the horizon?
Who you got?
Gary V.
Yes.
Gary V.
You got Oscar for sure.
Yes.
No way.
Yes. He's accepted.
That's gonna be a good one.
Of a podcast with Oscar Ledley, man. That's gonna be real cool. So
Weapon.
Look forward to that one. Enjoy your day. And we should have like some sort of outro, but keep on keeping on. See you later. Bye.
See you guys.